Hello, everyone. Hello, star seekers. Hello, astrology enthusiasts. I am Hanna, evolutionary astrologer, and I am so happy to be here with you again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching, and a big, big, big thank you to the incredible goddess, one and only superstar Nadiya Shah in Synchronicity University. So, thank you again for having me here today. And I have so much to talk to you about this full moon that we are about to experience together on March 3rd. First of all, this is not just an ordinary full moon because we are in eclipse season, which means that this full moon is actually a lunar eclipse happening in the sign of Virgo. So this is very powerful. This is very significant. This is not just another monthly lunar moment. And just so you have an idea, we have about 12 full moons each year, right? Every month we have a full moon, but only two of these full moons actually become lunar eclipses. And this one is one of them. So let's talk about it. Let's unpack what this means for you, for us, for you, and also how to work with this time and these energies in a conscious way. So I'm going to actually start out by sharing some slides with you because that just makes things even better. So before we dive into the themes of this Virgo lunar eclipse, I actually want to invite you to zoom out for a second and pay extra attention to what's been happening in your life these past few weeks and actually what continues to unfold in the weeks ahead. Even though the eclipse peaks on a specific day, eclipse energy is never just about one day. This is why we call this eclipse season, because we're really talking about a window of time. And it's a process, it's a story unfolding, not just one single moment on our calendar. So if right now you've been feeling these past few weeks, you've been feeling emotional or things are happening fast or even a little intense. I certainly feel this intensity. If there's a lot happening for you, you are not imagining this because we are in this eclipse field together. Because what happens during eclipse times is that things accelerate. We started this eclipse season, we had our first eclipse back on February 17th. That's when we had the new moon, the solar eclipse in Aquarius. And now, 2 weeks later, we arrive at the full moon lunar eclipse on March 3rd. So you see how this is a story unfolding, and we're at the gates. And so, one suggestion here is to trust whatever is happening in your life right now. This means we're really talking about everything, the conversations you're having, the ideas that are emerging, the things or people that might be exiting, all the things that might be dissolving or shifting or changing, people, plans, projects, identities, what's fading, what's coming in. And you might experience, a lot of times we experience both things. We experience things that are leaving or not working out in the way they used to, or maybe you're outgrowing that version of yourself. And at the same time, you have new things entering your life, new people, new inspirations, new directions, new projects or ideas that want to be born through you. So, what eclipse season does to us is to rearrange the landscape of our lives, and our invitation is to deeply trust it. And when I say trust, I mean, trust is not an easy thing to do, right? It's really easy to trust when things feel really great and it's very comfortable, and you book a ticket to the other side of the world to have the best vacation ever. Very easy to trust life when things feel good, right? But when things are difficult, uncomfortable, when a relationship ends, for example, or maybe something going on at your job that feels really difficult, or something that's out of what you expected, that can feel very destabilizing. But eclipses have a way to move us towards alignment, even when the process feels uncomfortable. So that's my suggestion. Um, that's my invitation during this eclipse season is to trust whatever is happening in your life, good, bad, and everything in between, and to be in a state of surrender. When I say surrender, surrender, I don't mean that you have to be passive and sit on your couch and do nothing. That's not what I mean at all. But it's about paying attention to the current, to what life is, where life is taking you, and allowing things to unfold from that space, allowing the intelligence of the cosmos. I mean, if you're here, if you're watching this video, if you are plugged into Nadiya's incredible YouTube channel, you know that the cosmos, the planets, the stars, the synchronicity, um, is in this living conscious universe, right? You trust the stars. So imagine yourself during eclipse season really moving and that current made of stars and being in that full acceptance and trust. So when you're in that, when we are in that, when we're trusting life, we actually don't stop moving. We actually move more consciously and even faster because from that place of trust, of alignment, you can make decisions, you can take action, and you can participate with the flow of your life instead of resisting it. So this is really that landscape that we're in right now. And that's why I wanted to take a few minutes to really talk about this with you because that's the biggest invitation for all of us here. And we are about to meet the climax of this eclipse story that actually begun. And I'm going to share this with you. And if you watched my last video, you've seen this image before, because this is the most simple way to visualize the moon's path throughout the month. So if you look at the new moon, right, in orange letters, you see that that's the seeding moment. That's the new moon. That's the birth of a new lunar cycle. This was back on February 17th. That was a solar eclipse. During that moment, the moon is dark. We don't see her light. Symbolically, this means that this darkness represents introspection, right? The light of the moon speaks about the light of our consciousness, the light of awareness. So when the moon is dark, it's really telling us to go inward, to reflect on the previous cycle, and to begin planting the seeds for what we want to grow next. And then we had, the days started to pass, the moon begins to grow, she's gathering light. And then 2 weeks later, here we are, the climax of the lunar cycle, which is the full moon, right? So this is a time when this full moon is completely illuminated. She's pregnant with light. So it's the night of the month. March 3rd is the night of the month where we're going to have the sky with the highest level of lunar brightness. So symbolically, think about how the more light we have, the more clarity we have. We see more. Think about when you walk inside a dark room and you turn on the lights and all of a sudden you can see everything, right? So that's why this full moon on March 3rd, this lunar eclipse, is about revelations, new insights, new awarenesses, things coming to the light that you're now able to perceive, that you're now able to see. And this is happening in the sign of Virgo. So Virgo is really giving us important clues about what this eclipse is about, And really think about Virgo here as that mystery school, that place here that's teaching us devotion, refinement, and that sacred practice through everyday life. So I want to quickly show you the chart of this full moon. So look at the pink circle. Inside you see the symbol of the moon, right? In the sign of Virgo. Right opposite this, the moon is the sun, where the pink arrow is. So that's a full moon. That's what it looks like. It's that opposition between the sun and the moon. Every full moon looks like this. Now, what makes this an eclipse is that you see that this opposition between the sun and the moon is happening on the nodes of the moon. So the nodes of the moon in the chart look like these little nose piercings, right? Right next to the sun and right next to the moon. So this is for the chart of the full moon, if you are interested in that. But let's talk about what Virgo is about. Virgo is about work, employment, all the ways that we offer service, not just to people, but to groups of people, to the collective. Virgo is also about our daily routines, our daily maintenance. So how do we make our lives work? How do you organize our life and our routine and our meals and the things that need to get done during the day? So all the systems that we rely on, all the habits and the small rituals that keep everything moving in our lives. It's also about health and healing. So anything about the body, the relationship between the mind, our spirit, and the physical. So it's all about this holistic sense of well-being and health, and not just about physical health, but mental health, emotional health, physical and spiritual health. So what can happen during this eclipse is that these themes are very much activated in our lives. So for example, some examples here could be shifts or endings in our professional life, our roles, our jobs. So there could be changes in work dynamics. There could be maybe new responsibilities, new structures, changes, something that needs to evolve, something that needs to be refined. Maybe there can be new beginnings, especially if something has been quietly building behind the scenes. And also about health, anything about health, the body, healing practices, how we take care of ourselves day to day. It's all about our routine. And remember that eclipses, they don't just happen on a personal level. They also speak about the collective, all of us, the world. So we may see a lot of conversations or events connected to labor systems, service industries, also healthcare, and the way society organizes itself, supports itself, the well-being of everyone. And the what Virgo asks us to do is to refine, to simplify, and to notice the details of things. So this is a theme for all of us during this lunar eclipse. What needs to be refined? What needs to be polished? What needs fixing? What could be better? So seeing very clearly what is sustainable, what is working in our lives, and also what is not working in our lives. So, another really important thing about this eclipse is that the ruler of Virgo is Mercury. Mercury is in Pisces, so it gives us even more clues about the energy of this eclipse, the themes of this eclipse. But not only Mercury is in Pisces, but Mercury is retrograde. So what does that mean? It's saying to us that this eclipse is not just about practicality and that groundedness that Virgo brings, the plan. Yes, it is about practicality and planning and being very, practical and pragmatic about, okay, this is working, this is not working, what needs fixed, what needs change. Yes, it is about doing that. But it's also about bringing that Mercury in Pisces, which is a very different energy. It's about intuition. It's about emotionality. It's about fluidity. Mercury in Pisces speaks through dreams, through synchronicities, through symbols, through feelings, through subtle perception, intuition. It's not just about pure logic. So Virgo wants clarity, right? Virgo wants structure. Virgo wants solutions. But the ruler of this eclipse, Mercury in Pisces, says, well, not everything can be solved with a checklist. Some things need to be felt before they can be understood. And because Mercury is retrograde, there's something about the retrograde period that asks us to bring this energy inwardly. And so it's telling us that this is not necessarily a moment to rush forward and make decisions right away, but it's about revisiting, reflecting, processing things again, looking at ground that we have already covered. So this could be in a form of conversations about things from the past that may come back. This could be past situations connected to work and health and daily life that could resurface so you can see things differently now. So you can, again, see what's been working and not, and how you want to move forward. Pay attention, pay close attention to communication during this eclipse because things may feel a little foggy and non-linear. A lot of misunderstandings here are very possible. But at the same time, intuition is incredibly heightened. So you might receive a lot of insight through your dreams, through the synchronicities, through moments of quiet reflection, rather than just through very clear external answers. So pay attention to the subtleness of life. Pay extra attention to your dreams at night. Pay attention to your intuition, to what's calling you, to what's speaking to you, to the symbols that are repeating, to the conversations, to what the messages. Mercury is a great messenger. So, what are the messages that are coming to you now? What is speaking to you, and who is speaking to you? So, a message of this eclipse, even though we speak about eclipse energy, is about acceleration and intensity, but there's a clear message here about slowing down the mind, listening between the lines. Virgo is about fixing, Pisces is about softening. But when they work together, because they're opposite, right? Virgo is opposite to Pisces. But when they work together, when this opposition comes to integration, we've got magic. And this is this Mercury retrograde in Pisces ruling this eclipse is telling us that we're learning, we're working on balancing practicality, discernment with compassion, with our hearts, with intuition, with spirituality. So if you have a spiritual practice, whatever that means to you, maybe it is traditional religious observance. Maybe it is going to the temple. Maybe it's going to nature. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it is the oracle. Whatever speaks to you, whatever you resonate with, this is an incredible time to connect with it, to be in that conversation. Now, let's look at this eclipse through the houses. So I'm going to talk about all 12 houses. I'm really speaking here about the rising signs, your rising sign, because the rising sign tells us where in your life you're going to be experiencing this eclipse. Okay? But one small caveat here. Depending on the exact degree of your ascendant, this eclipse could actually fall into the previous house. So if you know your chart, if you know your ascendant, pay attention to that. For example, if you're late degrees of Aries rising, this Virgo lunar eclipse, instead of in the sixth house, will be happening in your fifth house. So always look at your chart as a whole to know where this Virgo, so it's 12, I'm sorry, 12 degrees of Virgo. Where is that in your chart? What house falls into? But if you are an Aries ascendant, Aries rising sign, this lunar eclipse is happening in your sixth house. So this brings focus directly onto your daily life, your work routines, your schedule, your habits, especially habits around health, well-being. So something here may be reaching some sort of a culmination point. Remember about the re-evaluation. So how am I scheduling my my routine? How's my work? How much do I give? How much am I taking care of myself? How much am I taking care of others? Does my current routine truly support my well-being, my energy? For some people, some Aries risings, this could be a lot of changes at work. Sixth house is the house of work. So there could be a lot of shifts, maybe new responsibilities, maybe ending, roles that are ending, or maybe that strong desire to move towards the work that feels more in alignment with you, with your service, with your purpose. For other Aries risings, this emphasis could be all about health and the body, noticing what needs healing, noticing what needs rest, or what habits are no longer sustainable. So this eclipse in your sixth house is about refining your systems. Look at things holistically. Look at the small daily choices that have been shaping your larger life. And Virgo energy reminds us that transformation doesn't always come through, some sort of a dramatic leap. It's all about consistency, intentional adjustments. So again, pay attention to your health, pay attention to your nervous system, your workload, and if you are imbalanced when it comes to action and restoration and rest. So something there needs to be reevaluated, and something might be being reorganized in your life so it can function in a more supportive way, in a more sustainable way, ultimately. Now, if you are a Taurus rising, a Taurus ascendant, this lunar eclipse is happening in your fifth house. The fifth house is the area of creativity, self-expression, joy, romance, and all the things that want to be born through your heart. So this could be a really powerful turning point around any creative projects, artistic expression, or even in the way that you allow yourself to be seen. So something here may reach some sort of a climax. Maybe it's a realization about what truly brings you joy versus what's being done out of obligation. For some Taurus risings, there's going to be themes around children, fertility, or creative babies that may be highlighted. And this could also show through work and visibility. This can be about taking on new roles at work. This can be about stepping into some sort of a new leadership role, or being asked to, show yourself up more publicly, or taking new responsibilities that require more confidence, more creative authority. So it's like life is nudging you and saying, hey, you need a bigger stage now, even if you didn't plan on it. You may feel a strong urge to refine how you express yourself, how you're showing yourself to the world. And Virgo here asks, does your creative path align with your deeper purpose? Do you have joy in your life? Is that joy sustainable? Are you giving energy to what truly lights you up, what gives you purpose and meaning? Or maybe you're wasting your energy in things that are not really in alignment with what gives you purpose and meaning. And because of this Mercury retrograde in Pisces, there might be an opportunity to revisit past passions or reconnect with something or someone that you once loved but set aside. So it's a time to reconnect with old inspirations and look at these old projects with new eyes, new meaning. This could be even through friends and communities and collaborative spaces where you are taking some sort of a new leadership role. This eclipse invites you really to reconnect with your own sacred creativity, your own unique creativity, not through the eyes of perfectionism, but devotion to what feels authentic to you, alive to you, and really ultimately what's true to your heart. Now, if you are a Gemini rising, this lunar eclipse is happening in your first house. First house is all about the home, family, roots, all of your emotional foundation, your loved ones. So something within your private life may be reaching some sort of a culmination point. This could look like shifts in your living situation in your home, things going on at home, changes within your family dynamics, or some sort of a deep internal realization about where and with whom you truly feel safe, nourished, supported. So, Virgo here, this eclipse for you is about emotional organization. What supports your inner world? The structures, the habits, the people, the support. What needs healing within your sense of belonging? Do you feel that you have a support system that cares about you, that nourishes you, that feeds you emotionally? This could also be about simplifying your home, your environment, create healthier routines at home, declutter your space. And also, it's a time to release emotional patterns that might be draining your energy. And it might be quietly draining your energy, or maybe you're giving too much to your loved ones. And now you need to bring that focus a little bit towards yourself. So that might also be the decluttering here, the realignment here. And because Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, this can be a time where you're revisited by old memories, by past emotional stories that could resurface. So it could be reflecting on the past now from a more compassionate perspective, a new perspective, understanding things that may have been difficult or confusing. So ultimately, this eclipse for you is about building a more grounded inner sanctuary where, your roots feel stronger and your environment, your home environment, and your support system in life can feel more nourishing, and also that gives you that greater stability, that greater security. Now, what happens if you are a Cancer rising, a Cancer ascendant? This lunar eclipse is happening in your third house. Third house is a space of communication, talking, learning, listening, writing, conversations, a very social house. So this eclipse is about how you process and how you organize your thoughts, your mind. So there can be here some sort of a climax culmination that brings you clarity. Maybe it's an opportunity to finish up some sort of a project or an activity related to writing or speaking, teaching, studying. You might sign up for a new course or finish something that you've been working on. It's all about learning, it's all about the mind and all about conversations as well. So pay really close attention to the conversations you're having that might lead to some sort of a shift in perspective and how you see things, how you think about a certain situation. So you're looking at situations now from a different point of view. Third house is also about siblings, cousins. So there could be something here about conversations with them, or a change in dynamics, or even a moment of healing, of understanding, of fixing something that was maybe not working well, or maybe the awareness that there's something important that needs to be fixed in these relationships. So this Virgo energy here is about asking you to refine your voice, to refine how you are communicating. What words feel aligned with your truth? Maybe it's about simplifying your message. Maybe it's about reorganizing your ideas, release mental patterns that are not helpful anymore, that are overwhelming, that are chaotic, that are not giving you that sense of direction that you need. And remember that Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, the ruler of this eclipse. So again, this could mean conversations from the past, old conversations, old themes, themes from the past that may resurface. And this could be connected to siblings, travel, education, studies. Remember that this Mercury in Pisces is all about the synchronicities, the dreams, the intuitive insights. So now your mind is working in a more symbolic way, non-linear way. So pay attention to that and pay attention to your mental narratives, the stories your mind is telling yourself about yourself. Do I believe in these stories? Do I want to continue with these stories? Is there a new story that will actually serve me more? So it's a big conversation here with the mind. And so this eclipse for you is all about speaking with intention, thinking with intention, trusting the power of your voice and your thoughts, and seeing what needs to be fixed, polished, refined. If you are a Leo rising, Leo ascendant, this lunar eclipse is happening in your second house. Second house is money, honey. So themes of finances, value, self-worth, income, salary, everything that has to do with the material world. So this can be a time where there are realizations about income, about your resources, about the way you're exchanging your time and energy. So for some Leo risings, this is going to be shifts around work or the financial structure, salary. So maybe there's an ending, maybe there's new opportunities. Maybe this is an opportunity to fix something that you recognize that is a limitation here. Maybe this is an opportunity to also refine the way you're managing money, the way you are organizing your resources, and all the daily habits that support that long-term security. But even beyond finances, even beyond, these financial themes, this is about self-worth. This is about, what do I believe I deserve? With Mercury retrograde here in Pisces ruling this eclipse, there can be this much deeper conversation here, much deeper things, emotional, psychological layers around value that may resurface here. This could be old fears, old stories about security, about your own sense of lack or not enough or not deserving enough. So, is there something about that that needs to be released, that needs to be fixed, that needs to be refined, that needs to be looked at with greater awareness? So, this eclipse invites you to refine your relationship with abundance. Not just material abundance, not just money, not just physical, that physical shape of abundance, but also energetically, really opening up to remember that you are an abundant being. So choosing really how you live a life based on that and what truly nourishes that sense of inner confidence. If you are a Virgo rising, if you're a Virgo rising, this eclipse is actually happening in your first house. But one very important note here. If you know your chart, look at the exact degree of your ascendant. If your ascendant is anywhere close to that 12th degree of Virgo, so this is around 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, even 17, this eclipse is not only happening in your first house, but it's very close to the ascendant. So pay attention here. If it's before 12 degrees of Virgo, this eclipse will be happening in your 12th house. If it's past 12 degrees of Virgo, it's happening in your first house. So the ascendant itself, that point in your chart is extremely sensitive. It's a powerful point. So when you have an eclipse touching that ascendant, this can mark a major personal turning point. There's a shift here, a shift in work, in identity, in direction, and how you show up in the world. So, if this lunar eclipse is happening in your first house, the house of identity, the house of self-expression, the house of how you move through life, this is deeply personal for you. So there's something about you that is shifting. The way you present yourself, the roles you carry, the type of work and service you want to be doing in this world, and even what is the plan related to my path? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? This lunar eclipse in the first house can bring moments of revelation where you recognize who you are becoming and what do you need to do to get there and what's on the way of that, what needs to be released. This is about health. This is about your lifestyle. This is about your daily habits that reflect your evolving self. So it's a time to refine your routines, refine your direction, not from a place of criticism, but from that desire for alignment. This could also be about work, employment, the new directions here, where you're moving from that professional point of view. And with that Mercury retrograde in Pisces, the ruler of this eclipse, this process may feel even introspective, even emotional. Relationships may act here as a mirror, showing to you what needs healing, what needs adjustment, things from the past coming up again so you have that opportunity to have clarity, what needs to go and what needs to be brought in. So give yourself space to move slowly because this is not about rushing into a new identity, but it's allowing it to fold organically. So this eclipse is really inviting you to step into a more authentic version of yourself, one that honors your sensitivity, your strength, and where, your true desires. Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? So it's a very personal eclipse. Now, you are a Libra rising. If you're Libra rising, this lunar eclipse is happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is the realm of the unconscious. It's that realm of spirituality. It's the realm of dreams. So this eclipse is deeply internal. You may feel the need to withdraw. You may feel the need to rest. You may feel the need to spend more time in reflection. There can be a lot going on emotionally, shifting memories, hidden dynamics that may rise to the surface so it can be acknowledged, released. The 12th house is a space of surrender. So this eclipse may mark ending of cycles in your life, things that might be even quietly unfolding behind the scenes, perhaps something connected to work stress, mental health, any sort of patterns or distractions that are not always good for you. And there can be unexpected situations related to work or daily life that can arise out of the blue. But this is about opening new paths or sudden turns of events that will redirect you to where you need to be at in meaningful ways. So Virgo here is asking you to bring that gentle structure into your inner world. It's a time for a big cleanup. And that cleanup can be spiritual, they can be anything about healing practices that support your well-being. There could be about habits that can help you feel more grounded when when life may feel a little overwhelming. Pay attention to anything that puts you in a space of numbness, of not actually dealing with the problem or what needs to be fixed. So there can be a higher tendency here of, you know, drinking too much or too much video games or going out with friends because I don't want to deal with the actual problem or whatever needs to be dealt with. So there is a higher tendency here for looking to things or people in order to distract myself and take me out of the place, emotionally, physical, or mental place that I don't want to be in. And with this Mercury retrograde, ruling this eclipse, you must pay attention to your dreams, to your intuition, to the subtle emotional signs. They are so important to you right now. Pay attention to the body and how the body and your psyche what are they asking for? Do I need restoration? Do I need more compassionate self-awareness? And so this eclipse is so powerful to you. It invites you to release what is no longer needed so that you can step into a next chapter feeling lighter, feeling healthier, feeling more with more clarity and more connected to your inner guidance. So this eclipse can be more subtle, but it's very, very powerful. If you are a Scorpio rising, this lunar eclipse is happening in your 11th house. 11th house is all about our friendships, community, our social circles, our collaborations, who we are engaging with and collaborating with. So, and also very important thing about the 11th house is that it also speaks about the long-term vision that we have for the future. So if you're having this eclipse in your 11th house, if you're a Scorpio rising, this eclipse can bring noticeable shifts within your social circle. So this may be changes in friendships. This could be things are shifting in the group dynamics, the communities, the organizations that you're connecting, that you're part of. Some relationships may evolve into deeper alignment. Others may naturally fade if they no longer resonate with who you are becoming. So you may experience friends and people in your social circle, in your community, going through significant life changes. Maybe you are witnessing changes around your friends' lives. The 11th house speaks about the future goals. So this eclipse may bring more clarity about where you're headed next. And you might recognize which collaborations truly support your path and which ones need more refinement. So there can be these moments of realization. around your role within the group, within your group of friends, within the communities that you belong to. So it's a time where you might be stepping into service. Maybe there's a new situation that needs to be taken care of. Maybe you're taking leadership. Maybe you're refining how you contribute to these collective spaces. Am I giving too much? Am I giving too little? What needs to be fixed here? What needs to be polished here? And because Virgo energy is involved, there may be a desire to reorganize your networks and surround yourself with people who support your growth, support your healing, support your purposeful evolution. So you may feel called to offer your skills in a more meaningful way. Maybe you need to upgrade those skills. Maybe you need to align your work with a larger vision, or simply where am I headed? Where do I want to go? And what do I need to do? What's the plan in order to get there? This Mercury retrograde in Pisces ruling this eclipse may bring past friendships, may bring creative collaborations, or even old dreams that may resurface. That could be conversations from the past that can come through it with a deeper new understanding. So, all contributing to that future direction, that you can see your future direction with more clarity. So this eclipse for you is really about refining your sense of belonging and choosing the communities, choosing the vision or visions that align not only with your ambitions and where you want to go, but also that, your deeper emotional truth. Sagittarius Rising, this lunar eclipse is happening in your 10th house. This is the house of your career, your public life, your reputation, your direction, and the role you have, all the roles you have in the world, the role of a parent, the role of a worker, the role of a daughter. So this is another house that I invite you to look at the exact degree of your midheaven. The midheaven is also called the MC. It's the highest point in your chart. The midheaven is such an important placement that is connected to your life direction, to your vocation, to what you're here to do, to build, where you're meant to be at, where you're meant to go. So if your midheaven is anywhere between 6 degrees of Virgo all the way to around 16, 17 degrees of Virgo, this eclipse is not only happening in your 10th house, it's happening on that very important place, strategic place in your chart. So pay very much attention to that. It can signify significant turning points in your professional path and the public visibility, your reputation. Now, this can bring, visibility to you. 10th house, it's about your professional path that may reach some sort of a culmination point, so a realization about your direction, about the roles you have within your job, within life. So there could be a shift in responsibilities. There could be moments where you recognize that your current path needs refinement. So this Virgo eclipse is asking you to look very closely at how your work aligns with your purpose, your service, and also long-term sustainability. So there could be changes in leadership roles, the recognition for your efforts, and there can be a desire or a need to reorganize your professional structures. So for some Sag risings, these eclipses can bring endings or transitions in your career dynamics. For other Sag risings, this could be, opening new doors to a brand new direction. And you could be experiencing both endings and new beginnings. But pay attention to if these new doors opening up from in your career, if they are aligned with your evolving identity, if they are supportive of your path. And because Mercury, the ruler of this eclipse, is retrograde in Pisces, themes connected to work, your career, and also home, family. Do I have an emotional foundation? It can be home, family can be intertwined with your professional decisions. So you might be revisiting old ambitions. You might be redefining success. You might be reflecting on how your public role ultimately reflects your inner truths. So this eclipse invites you to refine your purpose in the world, the roles you are taking on, not just for pressure and obligation, perfectionism, but through that conscious alignment between what you do and who you are becoming and where who you want to be, how you want to contribute to this life, to this world. All right, if you are a Capricorn, ascendant Capricorn rising, this lunar eclipse is happening in your ninth house. Ninth house is the house of our belief systems. Any sort of higher learning, teaching, traveling, philosophy, and all the ways you make meaning in life and of life. So this eclipse can bring powerful realizations around your world view. You may feel called to refine what you believe in, your belief systems. If you are teaching, if you are sharing, delivering information, this could be also a chance of refining, working on that. And if you're studying something, maybe you're studying astrology, this is a time to really pay attention to the direction of your studies, of your spiritual path here. So there can be important realizations, insights, activations about education, about traveling, about, shifts in perspective. And Virgo here asks us for discernment. So what ideas truly serve your growth? What teachings align with your experience, with your lived experience? So you might feel some sort of an inspiration or need to organize your knowledge differently, or maybe refine your message, or maybe step into a role where you share wisdom in a more practical and grounded way. There could be experiences at work that feel expansive, that maybe take you to a new country or a new city, that expand your horizons, that expand your point of view, your perspectives. Or maybe it's a time where you book a ticket somewhere, where you sign up to study something or to learn something that brings that sense of expanding your horizons, where you get to see things from a bigger, larger point of view that just it feels that sense of expansion and growth and wisdom and excitement and hope. And because Mercury, the ruler of this eclipse, is retrograde in Pisces, pay extra attention to conversations, plans, contracts that connect to travel, that connect to studies, courses. So there can be revisitation here of, for example, old studies or spiritual themes that could return, and maybe there's something here that needs to be integrated with more intuition, more compassion, more healing, something that you need to do differently or want to take a different route or rethink something that you've been doing. And this eclipse can also speak about experiences with mentors or teachers, people from different cultures, different languages that can bring new awarenesses about your path forward. So it's an invitation to realign beliefs with this deeper evolving truth, right? So it can be something quite philosophical, but it's about the meaning of your life, does my life feel meaningful? Does my everyday life, the way I structure breakfast, lunch, dinner, Virgo is about our daily life, our daily routines. So is the mundane bringing a deeper sense of meaning into my life? So, so, so important to be reevaluated here. If you are an Aquarius rising, this lunar eclipse in Virgo is happening in your eighth house. The eighth house is the realm of transformation, is the realm of intimacy and trust, and it brings a lot of psychological depth. So there can be a lot of release, renewal, transformation, deep intimacy. It's a time where this is a very emotionally powerful eclipse for you, and there can be experiences of things that are beneath the surface that might come into your awareness, new realizations, new insights, all about how you're merging your energy with another, your energy, your finances, your emotional space. So it's a time where you can get in touch with vulnerabilities, insecurities, limitations, things about yourself or the other person in your life that you may want to keep hidden, that can be a little difficult to talk about, to resolve, to fix, to have a conversation about those themes. But this is a really great opportunity for that deep cleansing, deep healing. And this can be about shared finances, so shared money. This could be about taxes, investments, debts, financial agreements that can reach a turning point or maybe require some sort of a, refinement and fixing. But it's also about sexual healing and also how you're sharing that emotional, intimate space with another. The eighth house is the house of sexuality. It's the house where you really get naked, not just from a physical point of view, but also emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So there's a deep question here about how and with whom are you exchanging your energy, your um your money, your sexuality. So really materially, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, where are you giving maybe too much? Or do you need healthier boundaries? So there could be a lot here bringing that this eclipse might be bringing to the surface around power dynamics, about emotional patterns that are now need, that now need to be changed or fixed or healed or shifted. And because this Mercury, the ruler of this eclipse, is retrograde in Pisces, there can be themes about self-worth that come to surface, about your values. So very much intertwined with what's unfolding. So this is an opportunity to revisit old emotional stories, old patterns in how you are connecting, deeply connecting with another, revisiting financial decisions, revisiting your own sense of value, and can you bring more compassion, more intuition? Or maybe it's a time where you're realizing that you're being too compassionate and permissive, and now it's a time to really strengthen those boundaries within yourself that are reflected, outwardly. So it's a deep healing eclipse. There's this energy here, there's this theme of deep transformation and really putting things back in order, and also that opportunity to release attachments, patterns, ways of being that do not support your growth, and really an opportunity to step into a more conscious relationship with yourself and others, and also with intimacy and trust. And really seeing if the people that you trust, the people that you are really getting vulnerable with, the people who know you best, the people who really see you at your best and your worst, if they're really honoring you and you're honoring them as well. And finally, if you are a Pisces rising, if you are a Pisces rising, this eclipse will be happening in your seventh house. The seventh house is the house of relationships and partnerships. So, not just about romantic relationships and partnerships, but also business relationships, any one-to-one dynamic. So, it's the house where we are really connecting with another. So this eclipse can, just like for the Aquarius ascendant, this eclipse for you, Pisces ascendant, can bring powerful realizations within your relationships. So something here may reach a culmination point. Maybe there's a new level of clarity about a partnership, about a marriage, about your relationship that needs to be shifted, that needs to be brought back to balanced. So there's a deep question here about how is the give and the take in these relationships? Is it healthy? Is it well balanced? Does it need any refinement fixing? So for some Pisces risings, this can show new beginnings in relationships. So new people coming in, new relationships, new partnerships. For others, it could be very much about adjustments that need to take place in that connection with another, or even endings that may be needed here in order for this greater alignment to emerge. So ultimately, this eclipse in Virgo in your seventh house is about asking for discernment in how you show up with others. Are your boundaries clear? How is the give and the take? Are you giving too much, receiving too little? Or maybe you are giving too little and receiving a lot. So is your relationship in balance? Is there reciprocity? Are you giving from a place of love and service and compassion, or is it coming from a place of overextending yourself, giving, and putting yourself as last thing on the to-do list? So this eclipse invites you to refine how you relate. So how you can create relationships in your life that support compassion, love, nourishment, and also healthy dynamics where you feel also nourished by that relationship. And because Mercury, the ruler of this eclipse, is retrograde in Pisces, this process may feel very personal, very introspective. There might be people from the past, old relationships that are coming back into the spotlight, or maybe old relationship themes, things that maybe you thought you had already finished or that were completed that now come back into the conversation, or maybe past conversations that resurface back again. But ultimately, all of these different, however this shows up for you, offers an opportunity for healing, for a new understanding, and for you to see yourself reflected through others in a way that brings self-awareness back to you, that brings new understandings about yourself, your needs, your desires, the type of relationship you want to be in, and what does it mean when you are in a healthy relationship? And again, just to be extra clear here, this is not just about love, romance, and marriage. This is about every relationship in your life, a relationship with your friends, relationship with your family, the relationship with your loved ones, a relationship with your coworkers. So a lot here about how am I showing up in my relationships? What am I getting in return versus what I'm giving? And is there a need to rebalance something here, fix something here, or even adjust something important in order to have healthier relationships? So this is a great opportunity to rebalance the axis of me and others, self and others, and how can my relationships evolve in a way that honor both me and the other person, where there's that mutual love and respect. Okay, so thank you so much again for tuning in. I am wishing you many, many, many lunar eclipse blessings. I hope this has been very helpful for the times ahead. Let me know in the comments where this eclipse is happening for you. Let Nadiya know in the comments where this activation is happening in your chart and in your life. And if you would like to get to know my work a little bit more, you can find my website and my YouTube channel below. And if you feel inclined, and this is the last thing I'll share for today, if you feel inclined, honor this moment with a ritual, with something, a simple ritual. Virgo is an earth sign, so you can bring that if you're able to go outside to connect with the trees and nature and the soil and the earth itself, to allow yourself to receive its guidance and see what your intuition tells you. So it's a time if you can spend time in nature in any way or bring nature to you, sit with a tree, ground your body. So really it's about listening to that intuition, that voice of wisdom that lives within you. And remember the symbol of Virgo. The symbol of Virgo is the maiden. The maiden really represents the sacred keeper of the harvest. She's the one who tends, refines, honor. Really, she honors what is pure, what's essential, and what allows our life to allow us to lead very healthy lives. So, let this be a moment of quiet devotion and not perfectionism or criticism, but presence and caring gently for yourself and others, and trusting deeply that what is unfolding is truly what is in the highest alignment for yourself, for you. Thank you so much again, and I hope to see you next time. Happy lunar eclipse.